Last time we have discussed about poetry and its elements. Poetry has tremendous appeal for learners, and it is the best way to excite your love for language and its meaning. Likewise, it lays the foundation for the appreciation of the beauty of language. Furthermore, it educates your emotions and enhances your power of imagination.
Today we are going to journey on the study of prose and its elements. What is prose? When you read about novel, newspapers, and even your textbook, you are reading prose. The simplest definition of what is prose, it is a form of writing which has natural flow with speech and writing. However, prose isn't limited to written works. It also refers to how we speak in our everyday language and also how we think. When we talk about prose, we are referring to a type of language which does not demonstrate any particular structure, but leans more in favor of delivering concise and clear language that can be easily understood. The term prose is derived from the Latin language and translates as meaning straightforward. We start our discussion with the elements of prose. There are detailed elements that we are to consider in the analysis of prose materials, but generally, we are only focusing on the six basic elements, namely plot, characterization, point of view, setting, theme, and style. A plot refers to the sequence of incidents or events through which an author constructs a story. The plot is not merely the action itself, but the way the author arranges the action towards a specific end of the structure. One important element of plot is conflict. It refers to a clash of actions, ideas, desires, or wills. There are three types of conflict, namely person versus person, person versus environment, and person versus self. These are the following flaws of events in a plot of prose material. Usually, it started with exposition, followed by the rising action, reaches the climax, resulted a falling action, and ultimately a resolution. The next is characterization. Analyzing characterization is more difficult than describing plot. Human nature is infinitely complex, variable, and ambiguous. It is much easier to describe what a person has done instead of who the person is. In commercial fiction, characters are often two-dimensional and act as vehicles to carry out the plot. And how do we present characterization? Characters can be presented in two different ways. It may either be directly and indirectly. In direct presentation, the reader is told straight out what the character is like. While in direct presentation, the author shows the character through their actions. The reader determines what the character is like by what they say or do. And what are the types of characters? Flat characters are usually have one or two predominant traits. The character can be summed up in just a few lines. Next is round characters. They are characters that are complex and has many faceted but have qualities of a real people. Stock characters is a type of flat character where the character appears so often in fiction the reader recognizes them right away. Finally, the static character. It is a character that remains essentially the same throughout. The setting. The setting of the story is its overall context, where, when, and in what circumstances the action occurs. A setting could be found on these three types, namely, setting as place. It refers to the physical environment where the story takes place. Second, setting as time. It includes time in all of its dimensions. To determine the importance, simply ask what was going on at the time. And lastly, setting as cultural context. It means that the setting also involves the social circumstances of the time, place, and historical events and social and political issues of the time. The point of view. The point of view is simply who is telling the story. To determine point of view, simply ask who is telling the story and how much do they know. The point of view could be told on the following ways. First, it could be told on the omniscient point of view, meaning it is the story that is told in the third person by a narrator who has unlimited knowledge of the events and characters. Second, a point of view could be told on the third person limited point of view, meaning the story is told in the third person, but from the viewpoint of a character in the story. Point of view is limited to the character's perceptions and shows no direct knowledge of what other characters are thinking, feeling, or doing. Third, point of view could be told in the first person. The author disappears into one of the characters, shares the limitations of the third person. It usually uses the pronoun I and we. The last is the point of view could be told in a second person. It uses the pronoun you, but this is infrequently used. The theme. The theme of a piece of fiction is the controlling idea or its central insight. It is the unifying generalization about life stated or implied by the story. While theme is central to the story, it is not the whole purpose. The function of the literary writer is not to state a theme, but to show and describe it. Finally, remember, a theme does not equal to a moral lesson or message. What are we going to consider about the theme? The theme should be expressible in the form of a statement with a subject and predicate. Number two, the theme should be stated as generalization about life. Number three, Be careful not to make the long generalization of the story. Number 4. Theme is the central and unifying concept of the story. Therefore, it accounts for all the major details of the story, not contradicted by any details of the story, and cannot rely upon supposed facts. There is no one way of stating the theme of the story. As long as the above requirements are met, the statement is valid. And lastly, the style. Style is the manner in which an author uses words, constructs sentences, incorporates non-literal expressions, and handles rhythm, timing, and tone. When asked to discuss style, you are being asked to describe how or explain why the words, sentences, and imaginative comparisons are effective in terms of what is being created. Diction as central to author style includes vocabulary, or it refers to the choice of your words. Syntax, it refers to the arrangement of words, their ordering, grouping, and placement within phrases, clauses, and sentences. The rhythm is the pattern of flow and movement created by the choice of words and arrangement of phrases and sentences. These are all for now, guys, on the study of prose. This lesson is backed up with a series of activities in your module. You may refer to our Google Classroom on the activities and assessment of this lesson. Thank you for listening. Good day and be safe, everyone.